Before you embark on probably the longest video I will ever make, this video is not meant to be just watched. You're supposed to draw along with us. This is real time of me and Sam drawing. If you're just sitting there watching it, I can't imagine it would be that fun. But if you're sitting there drawing with us, I think it could be very instructional, inspirational, and a bit of fun. It is almost 3 hours long though, so strap yourself in and drive for the long haul. This is us drawing together. Nothing like a good cup of tea. Enjoy. Okay, and I guess we just get into it. Alright, so what are we doing here, Sam?
So today I'm going to go through my process in Sketchbook. I'm going to draw some headphones for you guys. I'm going to take it from a blank page like we have here, go through to a rough sketch, go through to a refined sketch, and then we'll render it at the end as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I hope so.
So we're in the iPad sketchbook app, and we're both on blank. So let's begin, and I will try my best to follow along.
Let's go. Okay, cool.
And
so
critique me as we go.
We'll see how I do first. Okay, so we've
much reassurance.
We've got some headphones on the table here, and we're just going to use those for some reference in terms of looking at proportions and where we're looking at the different headphone cups and stuff like that. But what I always like to do for a sketch, first of all, is just really roughly block in the sort of main shapes first, and then we'll go in with some refinement a bit later on. So straight away I can see that the two headphone cups here, they're cylinder shapes and they are pointing in different directions.
Right.
So they're sort of doing this.
Okay, so like.
Yeah, and that's really important because as soon as you know that they're pointing in different directions, you can get your minor, what are they called? Minor axis and your, so you've got your minor axis and your major axis.
Minor and major axis for the ellipse.
Yeah.
Cool. Would you draw them like that?
I mean, yeah, so it's really...
doesn't matter.
In fact, it's kind of nice to show it here because it's so pronounced that you can see those two sort of coming together. But when I sketch it, I'm going to just open them up a little bit. Not all the way, but just to get that sort of shape going on. Cool. So I'm in Sketchbook and I'm using the design pencil brush. And because we're using...
Now, just a bit of housekeeping before we begin. To get the right brush set library up, this is what you got to do. So click into your brush set. At the moment I am on the basic brush set, but what you want to do is you want to scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. You want the designer set. So what we're going to do is just hover over one, and then you click this little pin in the corner there. Click that, and that pins it to your sideboard. Now, we got that done, but we also need a few more of the other tools from the basic set. So scroll back up to your basic set. First we need the hard eraser, this guy. So click on that, and hold it and drag it over to your set. Pop it wherever. And now that's in your designer set. The other one we also need is the pen tapered brush, which I believe is this... where is it? Oh no, that's the design set. So roll back up to the basic set, and we need this little guy here. Pen taper brush, grab him, and drag him over. Pop him where you need him. And once you have those brushes, the hard eraser, which is hard eraser does this, gives you a nice sharp, we'll make it bigger so you can see, nice fully 100% opacity erase, opposed to the soft eraser, which gives it a sort of a much softer edge erase. So you need that eraser and you need that pen. So that's the designer brush set, is your main source of pens, which you will scroll at the bottom, pin that, and then just grab those two brush sets, which is the hard eraser and the fine line pen. Put those into your designer brush set. And once you got that, you are good to go.
Oh yeah. So I'm using the design pencil brush, and because we're using the screen at iPad resolution, I normally do things at a 3 to a 5 sort of brush size.
3 to 5.
Yeah. And that gets quite a nice sort of line size going on.
So about 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? Ooh. Why is it doing that?
Okay, maybe we've got different settings in...
Why is it doing that? It's going like thin and then like really hard.
So if you go into your brush settings,
Yeah.
advanced. So if you click on pressure, right, so I'm set up slightly different to you, where if you've got a 3.4 and with light you've got a 1.5.
Okay, so just
and a
change it to the
1.5, yeah, it's so thin it's not going to show up. So I normally have it set, I mean I might move it a little bit. It's sometimes nice to have a higher heavy pressure,
right, so
but only just. So I might
what
go
are you at? A 4 point.
I might go to a 4.2 on the heavy,
4.2 on heavy.
and then a 3.4 on the light, and it's going to give you slight variation if you're pressing hard. But yeah, a 1.5 on this screen side, on this resolution is not going to show up at all.
Yeah. And a what? A 3 point.
I'm on a 4.2 and a 3.4. And then, is it worth checking other settings or?
Oh yeah, what else? What are we doing? Yeah, opacity 4, I'm assuming.
100.
What's your flow pressure?
12.
Oh, here we go. This is what's screwing me.
Yeah.
So flow pressure was light. Where you at?
I'm at 12.
12%.
But I can't remember the last time I changed these settings, so I don't know why I would have gone to. I don't know.
I mean, this is sometimes a little secret. This is the little secrets like
Yeah.
this that I really wanted to find out. And what's your high flow pressure?
100,
100.
yeah.
And I'm assuming it's
Oh, I never go this far into the settings. I'm hoping this is all the same.
that's the same.
Nib, don't know what that does. Oh no, so this is the so this is like
The stencil shape.
yeah. that's
Gosh,
fine.
you can go so deep into
Yeah.
these settings.
Well, I've changed something. Yeah. So I never go that far. I mean, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit.
That looks good. That seems to be happening nicely.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I will go in and change these settings when, so later on I'm going to start rendering some wood, and I'll go back into those settings and change them up later.
Right.
So knowing that you can change those settings mean that you can do so many different things later on down the road.
Okay.
Cool.
Now we've got that done. Let's begin.
I hope everyone can't hear the coffee machine. Okay. Coffee machine's off. It's shut down. Okay. So, we're going to jump in and really rough. Straight away, we've got an air cup. And like I said before, it's going to be at a slight angle. We've got the minor there. Because, like I said, we've got the two cups moving in like this.
Okay, so you draw all those lines in.
I mean, I'm, keeping it light for now. I'm gonna remove the center line, but maybe it's helpful for everyone to see.
Yeah, let's just do it.
And what I like to do sometimes is draw the ellipse and then do the center line to match. So, perfect.
That's totally how you do it.
Yeah. So, and then you can see, so wherever we're going to draw an ellipse from now on, it's going to be following this center line.
Right.
And not only that, the minor axis is going to be following along as well. So you can see here, you're moving the minor axis.
Okay.
And that's going to determine the angle of the headphone cup. So, okay. Let's move on to some other bits. So to finish off this cup, maybe I'm going to give it some shape and just say, okay, there's one there. And what that's going to do is, if we draw in some construction lines, it's going to give it a bit of a round edge like that.
Okay, I see what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, this is gonna be fun.
So let's see. Yeah, no,
I'm still getting used to drawing with the iPad anyway, yeah?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. With digital sketching, if you've gone from analog, not only are you learning to draw on glass or draw on a screen protector, but you're also learning the app learning curve and everything. So there's a lot to learn. So, it's difficult to do. But, okay, so that's looking pretty cool.
What yours is?
Well, we're both doing well. What I'm going to do next is, I don't know, sometimes I like to cheat and I go, okay, that's in the bank, that's done. I don't want to start scribbling over that if I don't like the next ellipse. So I'm going to use the digital to its full potential, just add another layer, because then if we add in the next headphone cup and we don't like it, we'll just start again. That's no problem. So over here...
So we've just had a new layer.
Yeah, so we've got a new layer added, and we're going to do exactly the same for the other ear cup, but this time the center line is going to be more like this, and that's going to give us the angle that we were showing before. So we've got the center line here for the next ellipse, and that's going to be over here.
Cool.
Slightly smaller and slightly wider as well. And the reason being is because you're looking at it from a slightly different angle, so it's going to be a little bit wider, and that's not quite. Yeah. And again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm struggling as well. Okay. How are we looking here?
I don't know.
No, it's cool. So, so that's looking pretty good. It's a little bit squashed. So,
Okay, so
when
you say squashed, you mean?
So the minor is quite thin still. I'm almost going to more of a round.
Okay, so you're almost like a... Yeah. Like that? No, still squashed.
Yeah, I mean, so what you'll find is if you draw it a little bit more squashed, that's fine, because we can always go in later, and once you realise...
Change it with the ellipse.
And you can change it with the ellipse tool, or you could even just start adding some stuff in here. And that's fine, because this is really... We'll never see this in the end sketch.
Okay.
Cool. So, we've got the two ear cups. What I'm going to do is add in a little bit of a cushion, and that's going to just be here like this.
Nice. Just in the center.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit. So because we're looking at this from a 3/4, I think the cushion, you're going to see more on this side and less on this side. And in fact, if you start getting fancy with it, it's probably going to start looking like this. You know what I mean? It might do. And this is where it's important to have another layer, because now I actually think it's a bit too high. Bring it down a little bit.
So we're just jumping over to the move.
Yeah.
And we can move it.
And that's going to bring it in line just a little bit more.
Good idea. Okay, I understand. Then you can...
So if I'll move that a little bit more actually. So to show you a little bit about what I'm thinking is the left ear cup is now closer to us than the right ear cup. So if you imagine now, because we know that our perspective vanishing point guides are now going to start doing this, right? So the vanishing point is over here somewhere.
Yeah.
So the reason why I wanted to move it down is because we're looking at these headphones from pretty much side on, like, pretty much side on. So that means that the top and the bottom are going to be roughly sort of there as well. So we might bring this a little bit more. But this is just all something that's I'm just playing around with in my head. We can always go back and tweak it a bit later on. So yeah, cool. Next is the headband. And actually, do you know what?
New layer?
We will do it on a new layer, but what I might have to do is merge these two layers because I've run out of space at the top. So this is, again, not ideal to do on a video, and I should have planned ahead, but I'm just going to merge these two.
We're cutting this out.
Yeah.
So you're merging these two layers.
Merge the two layers, and I can just bring the whole thing down.
We merge, here we go. And then we just move it down.
Yeah. Cool. And that's just going to give us a lot more space at the top to do some bands. Cool. So we've got the two ear cups, and then the only thing left to do now is to connect the two. If you see here as well, the band at the top is quite circular.
Yeah.
But that almost carries along below as well. Yeah. And when we extend them out, like we've drawn them a little bit here.
Have we?
I mean, not too much, but a little. I mean, they're not touching. They're like this.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and replicate that. So that means that we've got the face here of the band is in line with this face here, right?
Yeah.
Like this.
Gotcha.
Yep. So when we draw that in here, we can see that. Oh, I've changed brush. We can see that our face is here. And that means that it's going to extend out a little bit as well. And then the way that I've drawn it, it's almost perpendicular to the center lines, which means that on this center line, it's going to be something like...
Same deal. So you
Same
get
deal,
that
yeah.
90 degrees angle in there.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm just going to really roughly add a dome at the top. Okay, and that's the bare bones of... But this is something as well, as I've started to sketch this, that angle in particular has been formed by the sketch.
Right.
And you just go with the flow and it's
Okay,
fine.
so it'd be something like that.
Yeah.
I might bring that down a wee bit.
Yeah,
It's these guys.
me too actually. Mine's a bit high.
Shoot.
Oh.
You know what, I'm just going to start that layer again. Okay, we're roughly in the
Cool.
same place.
Yeah, and they're both looking pretty good. So, I think you're right. I'm going to move mine down a little bit. So we've got headphones
Oh, you
in
merged the whole layer?
the Oh yeah, sorry. Real quick, I just merged the layer again.
Merging down. Cool.
Cool. So now we've got the bare bones of the headphones. We've got the cups going on quite well, and we can start to flesh out the design. So now that we've got this, we can add or subtract whatever we want. So, I mean, I'm kind of looking at this, and I kind of like the fact that it could be just an extruded bar along the top. A lot of headphones have this sort of flat profile, so you're going to sort of see it over here, and it's going to cross over and do this sort of cross like this.
Yep.
And you can do that, that's fine. So it's going to sort of cross over in this sort of section, maybe here.
Okay, gotcha.
But I might do something a little bit different. And I mean, this is where we can both go the same way. We can both go different ways because now we've got the bare bones. Like, cool, we can carry on. So I'd even start to look at some details in here, just to rough them in a little bit.
Are you on a new layer, or are you still doing it right?
I mean, I'm still. Do you know what? Practice what you preach. New layer.
New layer.
Cool. So, in my mind, this is a bar that's going to come across. It's going to come across over there as well. And because this is really rough layer, it's fine to get some really hairy lines down there. Just trying to find the form.
So you're just drawing like a little metal hairband sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's just going to be like a little thin bar it's going to come across.
I think for safety and speed, I am going to follow you. That's
Cool.
all right.
Well, don't follow me too closely because this is the wobbliest line I've ever drawn.
You could use the... do you ever use that tool?
Sometimes, I mean, if I'm going to do... If it's at the stage of refining,
Yeah.
I'll go full on and I'll use the ellipse with absolutely no shame. So I'd line it up something like this and bam, done. But because this is just a rough layer for now, I'm going to carry on just going for it.
Fair enough.
Adding bits, taking away bits. I'm looking at this, and because our center line is here, this is a bit far out.
So we're doing with it. So you're keeping it on one.
So I've added in a quick center line,
Right.
and it's just coming in here.
All right. So mine's but.
So let's see where we are. Yeah. So visually, if you look on this side, this is from the center line out is quite narrow, and the center line over is quite big.
Is that my center line, maybe?
So maybe the center line needs to move. You're right. So maybe down here it's pretty much like here. It intersects fine. Maybe it should come up to here or something. Sorry.
Okay.
So maybe it should come up to a little bit.
I don't think it.
Further over.
No,
it's not paired yet.
Okay, so it should be maybe more like.
Yeah, that's looking like it. Yeah,
I think that's more accurate.
Cool. I am slightly embarrassed about how rough this
I think it's good.
Layer is. Yeah. No. Yeah. Cool. So we
don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're gonna hide all this. So we've got the rough band at the top there. Maybe this needs to be some padding. So this is where I can just start to add some bits and pieces. So maybe it's gonna have a bit of a loop.
Why is that going all wobbly like? Okay, I see.
And then over here. And this is where I should have done some ideation first, because I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm just winging it. Maybe they'll look good, maybe it'll look terrible, we'll see. But I'm just adding in some padding up at the top that's going to be slightly separated from me. Nah, that's alright, yeah, we'll keep it. Okay, first time I'm going to use the eraser tool really lightly. The reason being is I just took a step back from this and looking at the center line.
It's too far over? Or?
Yeah, so I came too far down on the one side.
Oh, okay, I see.
Which is, so I've just added in some construction lines that I missed out.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine now, so if it's on that side, then it should be coming down a wee bit further. So this is you use your ruler to check.
Yeah, and that's just, I mean, when I zoomed out, I could sort of tell it looks a bit wonky, and then it's like, okay, bring the ruler in, sort of double check where it's gone wrong. And this is, again, partly why I didn't want to start zooming in, because for all that time I was zoomed in like this, thinking, oh, that's amazing, and then I zoom out, it's like, oh, I completely forgot about this side and where that was in relation to it.
Right.
So zooming out is quite important to keep doing if you're going to keep zooming in like that. And that's actually really important because there was one time I was sketching a product for a client, and we had a meeting with the client in like literally 20 minutes time.
Yeah.
And I was doing a full Sanders design rendered sketch that I was trying to compress into 20 minutes, and I was going for it and sketching, trying to sketch this new idea that we came up with for the client last minute.
Yeah.
And I finished it and I zoomed out and I was like, with 3 minutes to go till the meeting, it was ugly. And because I was so zoomed in, focusing on, where's the highlight coming in here, I'd completely forgotten to check the whole sketch. So that's always something that I try and remember to do now, is to always check the full sketch as much as possible.
Right.
Cool. How's yours coming on?
I didn't like what I was doing, so I'm just slightly changing it up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I can see how, like, if you had a bit of ideation going on beforehand, then...
Yeah, and I should have. My bad.
That's all right.
that's the point of those iteration sketches that I did in my last video.
Yep. I should have learned. Is that going to stop too?
It's still recording, so we're all good.
Okay. Well, this is on 25, so when it gets to 28, 29.
Okay, so this is good, because then I can just check that, and I know that's going to be about there.
Whoop.
Okay, I've done something weird here.
How's it going?
Done some like cushioning, something in there like that. That's good. Very quickly see that. So that'll be like that, and that'll be like that. Going all right.
Yeah, cool.
I feel like, how do you like avoid? So I feel like at mine I'm doing too many like over scratchy lines.
Yeah, I mean, I have two.
Your ones look slightly more ordered.
Well, I think because I've gone even further. So now that I've got the scratchy lines, I've even started to go in
And
really dark.
okay, and sort of like blend in what you like. And
Yeah, sort of get the best value out of all of it. And what that means is when we go, I'm doing this because I know that I'm going to use a new layer later on to clean everything up.
right.
But when we do, this layer is going to become like this.
Right.
So then,
So the
actually, you
stuff.
can only see the dark
Okay.
lines anyway.
It's quite sort of freeing, knowing that this is not your main.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I'm doing a bit of live ideation anyway.
Those are looking like butts. Dude. So I don't like that. Give that a little crack. Wait, where was it? Okay. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Gee, this is a nice pencil.
The presets.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice because it's quite a light pencil, but also in
Go
dark
like
if you
that,
want it to
yeah.
be.
Okay, I think I'll focus on that. It's kind of looking like a cyber devil or something. Anyway,
Cool. So yeah, so that's
then
fine.
just-
We've got some, we've got the headband going on. We've got some padding going on. We can always tweak that later on with the refined layer.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to go through and look at the ear cups a little bit more. So I've got this detail in here that the headband is going to go into,
Mhm.
and that's sort of like, and that's going to mean the center line is running through here, along here and here. And what I might do is on this side.
Okay, so you're popping in your center line. This sort of allows you to read the
Yeah, and it's just
volume of the piece.
Are there headphones that look like this? I'm sure there are headphones that look like this somewhere out there.
I don't know, probably.
I don't know. If we get a lawsuit, then it's fine.
I don't think I'd care.
It's advertisement, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, so I drew in the center line just a little bit here. It's going to follow in. This is going to go through the center. This follows through here. And that's going to pop out either side there.
I like it.
And that's just going to give it a little bit of adjustment possibilities. And And we'll use it on this side, maybe a little bit. Just a bit there. Because I followed this down.
Okay.
Right. So I want to keep this form pretty simple along here. So that's going to be there. This I like as a flat face. And then maybe add in some fat ear cups for comfort. Maybe too fat.
Okay, and then you put like another extended circle for the...
Yeah, and that's just going to be the leather cup. And then over here, oh, 31, that's going to stop.
Go, go, go. I'll clap again.
Cool. So, do we need to scribble again? No.
No.
Because we can link it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I don't think looking at these that we'll see the other cup past his headphone, so I'm not even going to...
Oh, right, no, you probably wouldn't. So
So
you
it's just gonna be-
just see the padding.
Yeah. Which is fine. Put that more in there. I don't like how I've drawn in the padding here, so I'm just going to go back in, refine that.
What didn't you like about it?
So it just looked like it, compared to the size of the actual ear cup, it was absolutely huge.
Right.
Because I brought it round the sides too much, and you could start to see it behind the back of the ear cup round here.
Okay. So it should...
So I brought it in to stop first over here. Okay.
That's nice. Right, we're doing okay.
Cool. Yeah.
It's looking alright.
Yeah. Looking cool. The one thing I'd say.
What's
So
wrong?
everything's
Is that too
good.
small? I'm wondering.
I'd say both cups
Are too
are
small.
quite small. Actually, no, because they're quite small on this one. I'm doing more like an overhead, like an over-ear cup.
Mhm.
These look more like an on-ear, sort of more like that. So that's fine. But I would say the back one
think
in
that needs to
particular
come up
is
a bit.
slightly, yeah. The bottom is fine. But
Just draw it up.
yeah, so what I would do in that case, I'd use a select tool. And I don't know what your layers are looking like, but I've tended to draw most of this on a new
same
layer.
here.
So all I do, get the select tool, I'd come along here, and I'd just select, so you've almost got like this crescent moon shape, and then you can
Move it.
sort of move it around like this, and just bring it up just a little bit,
How much?
to bring it almost, so I'd say, well, with mine, they're almost sort of similar here,
Mm-hmm.
and at the bottom they are a little bit like this, and that's going to play into the perspective, because we said that it's over there somewhere.
It's about probably. Me, yeah. Something like that. It's pretty better.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Just check that with the ruler.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So let me delete those. Okay. So with that done, I reckon.
Hell no, that's changed everything now.
What's
That's moved. It's no longer in the center of the EM now.
Ah, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll just erase the and bring a wee bit over.
Okay. I
Cool.
think that's.
No,
That's all right.
Looking good, and we can refine this later on if need be. Because what we're going to do next is new layer, lower the opacity of that layer right the way down to something like.
I should probably measure this with the. So lower the opacity to.
Mine's around 15, sort of, just so you can just see the main lines that you've done.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. And then we're going to start doing a more refined layer. So in this case, this is where we bring in the ruler tool.
Hello. So you're drawing your main sort of axis line.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you start correcting your.
Yeah, so I'm going to correct little bits and pieces.
I can already see that. If that's my center line there, probably about there. Then,
Okay. So I've got the lines that I've put in here.
mm-hmm.
Oh, the center line for the whole headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a line, and then all of these lines are then the perspective all going off to the vanishing point, which is somewhere, I don't know, over there. So that's gonna change where some of this padding finishes, some of the cups go, but that's fine. That's not a problem at all.
That, and then they all slightly further you go down, it will slightly turn it up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, ever so slightly.
Is it even worth accounting for, or?
I think, yeah, even one or 2 degrees is gonna show up a lot.
Right. So if that's it, then that obviously that headphone needs to be pulled up a lot. That's what I'm
Let's
seeing from
see.
this.
Oh, you're not using that?
It's slightly. I mean, it's a little bit of an art finding the balance because these headphones they're not parallel. They're like this. So because it's fallen, so the right headphone on the back has fallen back. That's actually lowered the top
Right.
a little. I'm sort of making it up as I go along, but it looks vaguely right, and that's the perspective doesn't matter as much as long as it looks vaguely right. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
So, yeah, that looks okay.
Yep. So then again, new layer. So now we've got this sort of guides down. I do a new layer even again.
Okay. Did you lower the opacity of your guides?
Actually, I missed out some. So I've gone back to my guide layer just because I've missed out some lines in here.
Oh, okay, your headphone.
I'm just going to put in those lines just to.
So you can put your ellipses on the right axis.
That's it. Yeah. Cool. So I've come in with the ellipse tool now, and I'm now on the new layer now. So guides are done. I'm going to come in with the ellipse tool, and then that's going to let us follow the lines that we've just put in and really start to. This is where I can start to do more marks, and that's going to give us darker lines in different places.
Right.
And it's the balance between light marks and dark marks that's going to make the sketch pop at the end.
Gotcha. Line weight.
Yeah.
It's a bit huge.
And this is what I'm sure a lot of people would be saying. If you did it freehand and could sketch ellipses properly, it takes so much less time. But I like to sketch as a hobby for fun. So lining up these ellipses and just taking my time and just really nailing the accuracy. It's fun, I think. Maybe I'm a nerd.
Probably a little bit. It's one of the best people on there.
Yeah.
So you've just kept that ellipse on the same line and just moved it across for the
Yeah. So I've haven't changed the minor axis. I've just changed the whole thing as a whole.
Yeah. So you just move that along.
Yeah.
Just.
And that's going to give us that sort of shape.
Cool.
And then
you just moved another one along for the padding.
yeah.
Did you keep it the same size? Or?
So yeah, for the larger one, I kept it the same size. Just pushed it further up that line.
Right. Okay, depending on how much padding you want.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, it's going to change.
Right about there.
Cool. Cool. Okay, I'm going to move on. So on a new layer again.
So you do quite dark.
Yeah, and I think so. In a lot of my early sketches for Instagram, I went in with a black. Right at the end, I'd go in with a black line and just sort of outline everything.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, because I tend to do darker lines that outline it anyway.
Okay.
But that's a style thing, so yeah, that's a style thing. I'll move this along.
So now we're doing the other headphone?
Yeah, it's going through, and it should line up pretty well.
Oh yeah, those lines are so useful.
Yeah, because then as soon as it's here, I can say, okay, and this is where you can just clean up the ellipse. I'm going to make that a little bit wider. Just come in. And then over here.
Okay, so for my case, I think I've actually put that guideline in incorrectly. I think it should be
Oh, sure. Let's see.
a little bit higher, actually.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so you can go in.
And you're a bit wider, you've made this one as well.
I've made that one, wider. That's almost quite circular now.
So
Let's just have a...
Okay, so you're quite a bit wider. So
It's quite wide, yeah. Maybe I'd widen that one up a little bit too.
Even more?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, something like that.
Still getting my head around the perspective, but yeah. Yep. And then just
Cool, yeah, so then I've just gone in, made it a bit darker there.
No, you just
Just
a
added in some
small one.
details, yeah. Just some quick details.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I think I'm rough. It's not quite, but it's looking right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you added in the middle lines? So I've added in this line and this line. Just to give the padding some...
Yeah.
Oh, you've added those in? Yeah, cool.
But I'm assuming that's what this one's for. Actually, that feels like there should be...
Yeah, that's a bit... So that's quite... So again, because we're looking at it from the side, we want this one to be really fat and this one gets quite thin on the other side.
So this would be...
So I'd move that. And what I've done as well is I haven't done a full circle for the line here.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of gone up, and that's going to say that, okay, there's also a bit of
gotcha,
depth
gotcha,
in
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So actually what it does, it comes up and over and then down.
Gotcha.
and that's going to give us the. But I've just suggested that, and I'll put that in the render.
So this has been narrowed slightly.
I can't remember if I changed the ellipse, but I just stopped. Yeah, I didn't even change the ellipse.
Okay, gotcha. So it wouldn't be smack bang, it'd be sort of over the side.
So yeah, if you see here,
because of perspective.
yeah.
Be about there.
Let me, maybe to make it clearer, I'm going to add in the full circle. Because it's going to go up and over. It's going to come down. It's going to be there.
And then you've got a smaller one. And it's moved it over here. Oh, you've moved them right over. Okay. Oh, come on. It's frustrating when it thinks you're drawing, but you're actually moving.
Yeah.
Just follow around. Cool. And then you've already done some guidelines.
Yeah, and that's going to help in rendering it later on, actually. So that's always useful.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I'm going to come in with the band next.
Right.
And
so we know that our minor axis is 90 degrees from this major axis here.
Because we've drawn in these guides here,
Yeah.
and they're slowly sort of wiping a lot, like they're slowly changing angle.
Yep.
It's going to be slightly different with the band as well.
Oh, and each time I forgot to put the thing on a different layer.
I'm sure it looks pretty good. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is again where I'd start to say, okay, I've done these guides.
Yeah.
But now it's all about the art of finding out what looks best, maybe not necessarily what the guides are saying.
Okay, so you might decide that should be rotated more or something.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I'm going to line it up with my sketch more. I'm going to line it up more with my underlay sketch than I am with the guides. So the difference here is if you imagine the center line. Oh, sorry, I've changed everything. If you imagine the center line, the minor axis, is always coming. You got the circle here.
Mm-hmm.
It's always coming perpendicular like this.
Yep.
It's always going through it. And when you look at that from the side, that means that you will see it like this in 2D, but actually it's doing this.
Yeah.
Same line, but that's just what it's doing.
Gotcha.
So, what that means is, because we've...
Ours is coming like towards us.
So, yeah, it's coming towards us, and because we've got our center line slightly tilted back, that means actually our ellipse minor axis is doing that.
If I line it up with my sketches, it's almost doing that. Almost, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's... And I think I'm the same pretty much.
Oh, there we go. I always had it right anyway. It's interesting how often like your eye is often right.
Yeah, and it's
After
the...
a while.
Yeah.
So which line you're doing at the inside?
So yeah, I've done this. I'm doing the inside line, but again, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I don't know where this should go. Okay, I'm going to draw it in, and I'll see if I like it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've just widened it.
So yeah, what I did, I widened it, and because it's
Looks like you've shortened it slightly.
so yeah. Oh no.
Technology.
Here we go. So I did the first line here. I'm not going to be able to line it back up, but vaguely, didn't even follow my guides. Just doing it by eye. Vaguely there. Then when I went to do the larger line, I moved it up. But because this ellipse, if you scale it 100%, if you scale it 1-to-1 scale,
Yeah.
that means that you're making it wider than it is taller, right? So then I just extended it a little bit.
Got you. So I just squished it in just a tad.
Yeah, and that's just to follow and make it look parallel all the way around.
Okay.
So,
No, wait. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Like that. That's strong.
And at this point in the sketch, I've even just got rid of my underlay completely.
Oh, really?
Well, actually, it's there a little bit. It's that one. But now it's all about finding out the best. So I'm following less the underlay and doing what's best for the sketch now.
Right.
Cool. So now I'm going to come in, add some details, add in the padding, and then it should be good for rendering. Or good for a coffee break or something. We've been going for a long time.
Going for about an hour now, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so you're just...
So I'm just going to add these in. Come back. That's going to be down here somewhere.
It's a secondary camera, so it's not as...
Yeah.
clear.
And I'm just going to change some proportions of some stuff over here as well.
Alright. Okay, so we'll...
Give it some thickness. Okay. Yeah, I think I might need. So I did some of these lines too thick because I was still figuring out the shape.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go back here and just take them back a little bit, clean them up.
You know what? I think I'm making this too complicated by adding that detail.
You got a different detail in the top?
Yeah, I'm making it a little bit different, but I'm not liking it. So I'm just gonna scale a wee bit back and make it a bit simpler.
Yeah.
But simplicity is always good. So did you use a ellipse in there?
Bits of both. So I started with the ellipse.
You've
and
changed
then
it
and then
completely.
yeah, once it was there, I was like, you know, that's not quite working. Change it slightly.
So you haven't used any of the guide curves or anything?
No, by this stage, it's I'm sort of looking out for what's wrong and doing it by eye after that.
Right, gotcha.
But some of these are thick. Cool. How's it coming on?
Getting there. So how do you avoid like chicken scratches?
Well, when you watch the video back of this, this bit in particular, you'll see that and it's quite rough still. The render's going to hide that, but I did a lot of chicken scratches. Then I came back through after with the eraser and just cleaned it up.
Okay.
Sure, that is a goal to have to do it. I think there's always a way to fix it afterwards. So as soon as you realise that, the pressure goes, and your lines will become more confident anyway.
Okay.
But having the pressure to do it right first time almost makes it worse, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so say I want to add another bar, and I should probably be putting some ellipses in here maybe. So the goal is I want to go across, so like a cutout channel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like,
Cool. In that case, let's have a look.
So that's what I want. A bit nicer. So I should. Yeah, I'm just going to carry the. you off again. And I can get that going.
I'm just going to have a look-see and see how I might do the same sort of thing. Oop.
From there, I can cut out, and I just need an ellipse that follows that other ellipse.
So I'd break it down. So if you imagine this extrusion as a loft from this circle to this circle.
Yeah.
So what I'd do is literally, you know that it's going to be this type of this type of ellipse.
Yeah.
And that's going to follow it round, and it's also going to rotate as it goes round as well.
Yeah.
So
Got that. Yeah.
So, oh, you can't move it and rotate. So, I'd put in some construction lines too.
Okay.
Where I'm going to say about there, and about there. Because then, let's see.
What's the rotation? The scale is on the same tool.
Just join those up a bit.
Finicky, but yeah. Okay. How do you stop it from? Because I'm having trouble when I rotate the circle. It also scales.
Yeah. That's why it's important to be able to reference guidelines, or
Oh right, yeah.
so you can always line it back up again.
Got you.
So I'm just coming in now. I'm gonna see if I can clean this up a little bit.
Nice.
I'm not deleting this, I'm just adding some white to give it a bit more clarity.
All right. Okay.
So was it something like this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's pretty close.
Cool. So yeah, all I did was, you got the ellipse here,
Yeah.
same ellipse, but it's going to follow whatever tangentially to this is.
Yeah.
It's going to follow that. Over here, it's going to be more like slightly thinner because of just the angle that we're looking at, but still, it's going to follow whatever those lines are tangentially to the thing.
Yeah,
Cool.
I didn't put mine.
No, that's
I
looking
wanted
pretty
them
good, yeah.
slightly off center, which
Yeah.
I thought was kind of cool.
Looking good.
So you didn't erase, but you just added a bit of color.
So yeah, because I might go back to, I don't know which one I like better actually.
Might need to put any color down.
I kind of like the detail. I might keep this one. I might steal your idea.
That's right.
For the sake of variety, I'll stick with the original.
Okay. Right, you would have to bear with me while I tidy up and add a bit of line weight.
Mm-hmm. And then we should be ready for some rendering.
Yeah, we should maybe go grab a lunch
Definitely.
before then.
Is that camera still going?
Oh, maybe not. Shit. How's it looking? No, it's not going. Blast, how long is that? Oh, at least we have this one going.
Yeah, and we got up the screen recording, so that's
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. I just wish they didn't cut off.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the frustrating side.
Let me check. It only recorded, 29, yeah, that's fine.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we got there were two videos there. The first one, the second one, and it must have just stopped.
Sweet. So we got to it, that's good. Some productive stroke on that sucker. Okay, so I'm still getting not the cleanest lines.
Mm-hmm. Which, okay, let's take a look. I mean, those lines, I think they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
The render that we'll put on afterwards, because I like to do quite a heavy rendering,
Mm-hmm.
should
Clean those up.
make those, yeah, it should take away that variation in line weight. If it doesn't, once you've got the render on, then at the end I'll go through, and by that point the shape should be so well defined that you can, do it in one go.
Oh, that's what those lines are from that old. There we go, that's better.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. Where are we at? Anything else? Quick critiques. Probably a bit darker down here, right?
Yeah, I mean, so the rule of thumb is whenever there's a shape that goes around a corner and you don't see the other side of the corner, you're going to give it a bit more line weight.
Right.
So, for example, here, it's dipping around the back there, so
Yeah.
you're not going to see the back, so you add some more line weight. Whereas this one, because you see the two faces, it's going to be slightly thinner. That's my rule of thumb, which is, it just defines like, here is where that material stops, or here is where that surface stops.
Right. And we're back at it. We've had lunch, tummies are filled, and now we're going to get into the renders. So we have the sketches done. Someone's looking a bit nicer than mine, but...
They're both looking great.
Oh, such a good guy. Such a good guy. Okay, so how do we begin the render section?
So, to begin the renders, I'm going to start adding in the different sections for the different materials, starting with the base colors.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few ways you could do it, but I like to start with the base colors first, because then you can see the main colors, and you can start to push and pull the different aspects after that.
Cool, what pen do you use for this?
So, to make the outlines that I'll then fill with the fill tool, I come over to the paint tapered brush, and this might be where we need to look at and see if I've got it set up similar.
Pen. Which one's the paint tapered brush?
So it's the first pen.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's it set
So
as?
I've got it set up as a 5.5, and literally I'm going to put it on 5.5 just for argument's sake. He says, yeah, got it. So that what that's going to do is no matter how hard or light I'm pressing, it's always going to be the same. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And that's just going to give us a uniform line.
Cool.
Everything else I think should
Opacity, light pressure, everything full. Flow with light.
I mean, flow with light is low, but I haven't really changed it. Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so I can start to feather in a line.
Nice.
And everything else should be set.
Okay, I think we're
Cool.
good.
So we'll go in and we'll add a new layer. And what I always do is add the layer really low down, so it's below all of our line sketches.
Below. Oh, we're not using those. Those are turned off. So below
Yeah,
all
I mean
the
you
line
could
sketches.
put it down at the bottom.
Okay, cool.
No worries.
Put a new layer there.
Yeah, so new layer, and then I'm going to start putting in some color. So let's say that I want this bar running along it to be a satin dark grey made of metal. So what I do is I've brought up the colours here, and we've got lines that we can use to get the grey values. So this mid grey is 50-50, exactly in the middle, and we'll go down and you've got black. So if I want a dark grey finish, I'm going to start with something around this area, but I'm not going to go the full dark grey that I want it to be, because I'm going to need to add shadows later.
Okay, gotcha.
So going a little bit lighter will let you have space for more shadows and highlights later on.
Gotcha.
And they should cancel each other out and still make it look the right grey you need. So I'm going to go for sort of halfway down the bar there.
Cool.
And then I'm just going to come in and start to fill in the lines like that, and then we can fill it in like that. So all I've done there is I've gone around the outside and filled it in. Maybe I didn't need to do it for that because it's quite a thin piece anyway, but for larger areas that's going to save a lot of time. And then actually I went over a little bit just over here. I'm going to bring that back because we have the nice sharp pencil lines, so it's a shame to go over those.
This brush looks different from yours.
Oh yeah, it does. Let's see. So paint tapered?
Would be
that's
the
fine line pen. Huh, have you got... So my fine line pen is there.
Oh, so
Are they in a different order?
this is the actual set. Looks like you got an extra one.
Can you change orders? Maybe I change orders. So if you try and look for paint tapered,
Brush, digital brush. I don't have paint tapered.
huh.
You must have added it.
Oh yeah.
You have an extra brush.
What happened? That's so strange.
Did you take it from?
I don't know how to.
Wait, it's just.
I don't know how to.
There he goes.
So I brought it in from there.
I think I can.
Whoa, past me is smart. I don't know how to do that. Whoa, I was crazy.
You can change your own brush sets.
Change the brush set. I didn't know that.
Win for Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what. So I've been telling everyone, hey, I use the paint taper brush from the design set. You can use that. I've been telling them complete lies.
Whoops. So the pen taper brush comes from the basic design set. So the basic set, comes from the basic set. But have the design set as your main set that you use. Just add this one brush.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And that should.
Jacob, I noticed in your teeth a bit of food.
No. Think that. Is it gone?
No.
Which
this
tooth?
one?
Big tooth, little tooth?
Big tooth in the middle.
Yeah.
Other side. Nearly.
This is so going in the video.
I'm like, oh no. I think it's gone. Yes. We're good to go.
What a friend swap.
Cool.
Now just set the settings on your brush again.
So yeah, so we'll go through it again. So, paint taper brush.
Yeah, got it now.
Yeah, and actually I've moved sliders, but I'm looking at heavy and light the same.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Opacity at 100.
Opacity 100. Flow is, I don't know, 30 odd.
So
I don't know.
36. Yeah, that's what we got. Right. Spacing. What's your spacing at 1? Yeah.
1. Cool.
That all looks the same. Cool. Okay.
Cool. Okay, we'll try again.
Oh wait, do you? Mine has. I feel like it has to be solid.
Oh yeah. So, on the bar down here, you got your flow rating as well.
Oh right.
Oh, so here.
Oh, have I changed
so that should be.
that flow opacity is at 100.
Huh.
It will be. What's happening here? Flow without pressure. That's why. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Now that should be freaking solid. Yep.
Nice. Okay. So, all I've done is I've gone around the outside of that line and I've just filled it in with the paint bucket tool.
Sweet.
And I'm going to go through.
It's quite a way to do it.
But it's kind of fun to do these outlines anyway. Being like 5 years old, just colouring in, stay within the lines. Nice and simple. See, this is where when I turn the rotate off, actually it'd be kind of helpful. Because I'm now doing lines going away from my arc.
Fill like that. Oh, no.
Oh yeah, if they're not. So with my
I'm
fill,
in the wrong way, that's why.
and with my fill as well, you can change the tolerance of it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'm at about 120.
Just backtrack a little bit. Just hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when I switched over to the wrong drawing. Okay. Bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. How the heck do you get a smooth line for this?
Yeah, it's difficult. But
Okay, and then so you up your tolerance?
no, so my tolerance is at 120.
Oh.
But what that means is sometimes when I fill it, it doesn't fill it all the way, so I just have to tap it twice and then it fills it properly.
Okay.
But it's better than spilling over.
That's true. Okay, that seems to work. so
Cool.
and it's just practice, I guess.
Yeah.
What if I put on low predictive stroke? That might help.
Yeah. And I think because some of these lines that I've done are quite thick, so I can kind of hide behind them.
Yeah.
So my lines haven't needed to be too straight. Smooth. And just clean stuff up after as well.
That's true.
Okay.
It's like we're jinxed.
Okay. Go in.
Going.
Go. Okay.
Have we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
This is a big production.
I feel like this is too much.
Whoa. Okay. So we've got the colour for the bands down now. We're going to move on to the different elements, and I think I'm going to start with the ear cups.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, because I like to render things in wood, I'm going to do a wooden ear cup with a leather pad, so leather over there, and this will probably be leather or something soft up there as well. So to do...
I'll do something similar, I'll just do different colours.
Yeah.
So for some reason, unbeknownst to me and Sam, we still don't know why I did this, Sam's iPad decided to stop screen recording, which was a bummer. So for this next section, you're switching over to my iPad and my drawing.
Cool, no problem. So again, new layer over here.
Above. Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's above or below that one, but as long as it's below all your sketch layers.
Cool.
And I'm gonna do maybe an orange wood. I don't know. So again, with wood, I put a base layer down. Then I'm gonna add in the grain slightly darker on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shadows and the highlights on top of those as well. So the wooden texture is made up of 4 layers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just all about picking those different colours first. I think something like...
So your first colour is a bit of a lighter?
So it's going to be the lightest colour of that, yeah. So, and again, because it's on a different layer, we can go through with the adjustments afterwards if we're not quite happy with them.
Right.
But this is just to get the idea. So again, I'm going to come in.
Go around the edge.
Around the edge. And if I put that below...
You can rotate your iPad, I guess.
Yeah, it gets to that point. But actually, the main reason why I turned off the rotate thing was I started to record my screen for Instagram or something.
Yeah.
And like, I felt really bad because everyone was getting like motion sickness. I was going in and out. Oh no.
You're making the whole thing, even that inner circle?
Yeah, so yeah.
Gotcha.
New layer, and again, actually, the cups are going to be a similar sort of grey to the band.
Right.
So I'm going to go through and add those in now.
Who? Where's that? Oh, I was going to say.
Oh yeah, if there's a small gap,
Left
it'll get out.
Right, that's better. No, it's not better. Where's my gap?
Is it hiding behind other layers?
I think it might be. There we go.
Cool. And you can start to get a little bit clever with which order your layers are in.
Yeah.
So, for example, this needs to disappear and come to a tiny
So you put that on
point.
a new layer?
Yeah. So now I'm just putting in the black. Sorry, the leather.
Yeah. Oh, so the new
and
layer?
new layer for that. And I've actually put it underneath the wooden layer.
Oh, okay.
So the reason being is because I saw that in this area, the pen has to disappear into a fine point. So I can just carry on with this pen and just carry on behind it,
Okay.
and it will do that for me. So that's cheating a little bit, but that's cool.
I like pink leather.
Yeah, so get some funky colours going.
Why not? Actually, I don't like that. It's a bit much. Should make it like a sort of an off-white.
Yeah, that's quite nice. Not sure what colours to put this leather at the top. If I've got black leather cups,
She has white, maybe not a good colour. Is it trickier to render?
so the opposite to black. So when I'm doing white, I'd start off with something like off-white, but actually push a little bit of yellow in, ever so slight, and that's going to give it. It's going to set it off from the background, and when you start to add your shadows and highlights, that's going to again cancel each other out, so it should look white in the end.
Okay.
So ever so slightly. So I'm thinking like a 90 and a 10, 90 and a 15 in the values. So that's going to be really close to white, but it's going to show up.
Yeah, which one I use?
So I've got yellow, orange selected,
Yeah.
about a 15 and about a 90.
Yeah, that's alright. Cool. Cool.
Maybe a tan leather.
Actually, I'm not liking it, to tell you the truth. I'm going to go dark colour. There we go. That'll do. And have you put the other cup on a different layer?
Oh yeah. Actually, for the leather cups, they're all on one.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have been on different layers.
Well,
It's,
doesn't matter.
I'm paranoid about my screen recording now. Just keep checking.
It's still working. So that restart must have fixed it.
Yep, cool. And that's still going. And
Your
that's still
battery's almost about to die.
going. Ah, yeah. Good shout. That's lasted quite a while, actually.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, because I painted that white for some dumb reason.
If you're getting, I'll explain when we're filming again.
I'm gonna do.
So you're getting white showing up
Yeah.
under the thing? Okay. So earlier on it got a bit messy with, and that's my fault with layers.
Yeah.
But there's a way around that. When you have your layer here,
Mm-hmm.
you can change that to something like multiply,
Yeah.
and the white should disappear.
It's a good little hack.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, cool.
Nice.
Cool. I'm just gonna change this up because I just realised there should probably be padding at the top, so I'm just gonna give that a parting line.
Mm-hmm.
Just in here. It's a little. Something like that. Do the trick. Okay, now back to it. And I'm gonna make that. Hidden. That's good.
Okay. So for me, the block colours are down now. How are they looking on yours?
Very almost.
Cool.
Just do a jig in the background while I. So what's the next step after this?
So the next step for me, I think, would start to be putting the wooden texture in. And that's one of my favourite bits to do.
Right.
And after that, then we're going to put the leather texture in, and then we'll put in highlights and shadows.
Cool. Almost done this. Terrible line.
And it's also useful as well. So for me, I always have the iPad propped up here, and that always means that it's at the same angle. Because if the angle of what you're sketching at changes, the way your arm's going to move changes. So getting used to a certain angle will mean you'll know where your arm will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's difficult to get hold of as well, to get to grips with.
And then I've just got to add the leather colour to this, and then I'm done. I should be able to colour that in actually. Okay, good.
Cool.
Happy.
Nice.
Now what?
Very nice. Next is going to be Next is going to be the wooden texture.
Cool.
So to
Where
do
are we
that,
putting that?
I've come to the layer where the wood is, and then I've added a new layer on top. Oop. Now I've got a trick for wood that means we can do it so quick. We can do it so quick. So what I'm going to do...
Which brush are you changing?
So I'm going to the design pencil brush.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ramp up the size so that it's seriously huge.
Like that?
Yeah, like the bigger the brush, the better it'll be. And I can even go through... what we're looking for is these lines, because these lines are what's going to make the wood texture. So if I can
What are you changing?
if I can highlight these lines somehow, make it a bit.
You're
So
going
I've
into
changed.
pressure?
Yeah, I've changed the flow with heavy pressure down, and also light is quite low as well. So that's about 50 and 10.
Yeah.
And it's going to let us draw things like this, which is going to give us the wood texture eventually.
Cool.
Right? So
Is that it? Anything else you change?
that's pretty much it. So that's the nice thing about it, is it's so quick to do.
Out there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
so we've got our wooden brush.
Yeah, so we've got wooden brush, and I've come in, and
What colour are you wanting? Like a...
so the grain that we're going to add to it is going to be darker.
Right.
And normally it's slightly warmer.
Uh-huh.
So whatever you've chosen for your base color,
Yeah.
it's going to be a darker grain and slightly warmer as well.
Warmer being...
So the more over to the blue is going to be cold, whereas the more over to the red is going to be warmer.
So we go...
So I've moved mine from roughly about here, and I've just pulled it across to be a bit more red.
To put warmer. So
Yeah.
I'll just move mine down.
Cool.
No, wait. I'll go warmer that way.
Well, the closest you'll need to get closer to red. So if you're already in red, then you
already
can
in
just
red.
pull it down.
Pull it down. That gets colder there.
Keep it red,
Mm.
but you can pull your brush down, and it will
Okay.
be
Got there?
yeah. So this will be sort of like a stain added to the wood. So
Gotcha.
you've got like a what is it, pink stainish,
Yeah.
which is cool. So
Says it with so much judgment.
no, seriously.
Yeah.
I like to do, like, if you look, the last headphone, or maybe not the last headphones, but I did a pair of headphones before which were speckled green and pink finish.
Oh, I love that finish.
And it was just really, to have some fun with colours is like a bit more refreshing. But I've gone for boring colours here.
Quick.
So I think that's cool to do. So all we're going to do is imagine the grain of the wood that's on the texture, on the surface, which is this sort of dome shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to come in and sort of go along this dome shape, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's done.
Okay.
The magic then happens later when you start to add the highlights and shadows.
Wouldn't you want to select it?
It is that mask thing.
Select it. Just put that. Have I got my... Screw this. I'm not sure why that's not working. Okay, so I'm just...
Well, then all I go is go through later and erase,
That's probably a good way.
which
I feel like mine should probably be a bit darker, looking at yours.
yeah, I mean, once the line's down, so maybe that's quite dark on mine, so I can go in with the HSL adjustment and start to push it
I
around.
haven't even begun with those things.
Yeah, just to...
So how are you getting into that?
So if you tap on the layer,
Yeah?
you've got things like your color balance and your HSL adjustment.
Yeah.
And I would go into the HSL adjustment, and I've already made it more saturated, and I just made it a little bit lighter. Just going to blend it in a little bit more.
I like it about that. Oh, and then you can... Oh, yeah, you can play with everything.
Yeah.
Where was I? Up there. Just reset it. And now we just erase what we don't want.
Yep. Let's go through it.
What erasing tool? Oh, you got a sharp eraser.
Oh, yeah.
You've added erasers.
Have I?
Yeah, you've added a few things to it. Look at it.
I have no...
Grab you and put you there.
Wow. So what brush set was that from?
So that was from, again, the basic.
The basic one. I love the basic brushes.
Is that you need a sharp eraser? It should be in the designer's tool, really.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I've erased too much.
Because you kind of need it.
It's handy. Maybe I did that so long ago that I can't, but I can't.
Yeah, you probably did a tutorial on how to do it.
Yeah,
I've done that
didn't
before.
remember how to do it. Yeah, just followed along. And now we're passing on that knowledge.
Yay. I always used to bring images in to do my textures, but I don't think you can do that in this.
I do that a lot actually as well.
Okay.
So the way I would do that is there's a button here for adding images at the top.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then you've got your multiply, your lighten, screen, all of that stuff. But that's great for speed, and I always say that speed is number one in design sketching. But to get texture that's wrapping around the form,
Yeah, it's hard.
that's quite important for this type of thing.
Okay, cool. So I've done that.
Cool.
Oh, I'm also gonna do it here as well because I just.
Oh, that
realised
top bit's
the
wood?
Top bit is
Yeah.
technically wood.
Cool. And then what we'll do then is the leather texture, and then we'll start adding shadows and highlights.
Yeah.
And then it should be done.
Because that's a cut face, that should technically not have the wood grain on it, should it?
So in that one, if you imagine how it would have been made, so I imagine that would have been a dowel that you then cut and then steam bend. So the grain's actually going to follow the form and go around that top. On the faces that you said, you're going to see end grain there. Now, you can do that in a separate layer.
So I'll just erase that.
Afterwards. Yeah, so erase it from that front face.
Yeah.
But then for end grain, you do another layer and just sort of go perpendicular to the main grain.
Okay, right, gotcha.
Just going to look similar.
It's all about knowing your materials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And then do another one.
Yeah, so I'd add another layer in there.
And do it on same brush.
Same brush, maybe a bit smaller, ever so slightly.
And go that
But that's
way.
gonna go. So it could. The way that I would do it was if you see the differences
goes
between
like-
light and dark,
Yeah.
or potentially. So if you've got your grain coming in like this,
Yeah.
to try and get. So this light grain actually goes all the way through the wood. So the difference between this dark bit and this light bit will go all the way through. So to try and match it up with the inside, maybe it's not possible, I don't know. But you know what I mean? So then...
Oh yeah, I got you. So it'd be like
So if this is the edge of your...
like that. So,
Yeah. So if this is the edge of your material, zoomed in, I know it's a bit weird to show it, but you've got a light grain here, and then as it goes around the edge, the light grain continues.
yeah.
Same with the dark.
So like that.
Yeah,
It's almost lining up.
that's cool. Yeah.
That's
So that's
pretty
how
cool.
I'd do that. Okay.
It's pretty damn good. I'll just erase what I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite cool. I've never used brushes to do texture before.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think it's kind of like...
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I do... A lot of the stuff I do for Instagram is not the design work I do day to
more
day.
artistic.
It's more just about having fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to sketching the leather in a minute, because that's really fun to do that. And again, you could bring in leather textures, sure, no problem, but
That's not quite right.
It's too harsh.
So what you might find as well is it's the end face is darker, or do you know what? We'll leave it for now, because when you start to add shadows and highlights, it might blend. It might bring it back together. Later on, if we're still not happy with it, we can go in and ask why.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So next up is leather texture.
Woohoo!
So to do that, I'm going to come back into
The normal sketch brush.
yeah. What are we doing? There we go. Advanced pressure. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So that's roughly, I think, where we were before we started messing for the wood, I think.
So we changed
Maybe
your
not
size.
12. So the size is going to be quite small, actually. It's going to be...
Jump back into your settings again, so
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
One more time. Sorry. So opacity, flow, everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Offload with heavy pressure is up.
Mm-hmm.
Flow with light pressure is. Yeah. That's it.
Cool.
Yep. Okay.
So, in order to do leather,
Yep.
I'm going to bring this texture up and just put it, because this part on mine is also going to be leather. So I'm going
what
to do
have
it
you
all
brought
at the
to the
same
top?
time. So
A new layer
the
you
layer
just
that I'm
put at
about,
the
yeah.
top?
So that's at the top of most of the
All the colours?
All the colours, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So then what I'm going to do is literally just start scribbling
In any colour?
in a white colour.
A white colour.
Yeah.
Pure white or not quite?
I've used pure white.
Pure white?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. And just start
But
scribbling.
quite a light pressure. And just going all over the place. And this is going to get that grainy sort of leather look. But make it look, it's going to look like quite cartoony. But that's like a nice style, I think. But it's,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not overly realistic, but it just gives the impression of some texture. And it's kind of fun too.
Oh no, you don't even light a line. Okay, I think I've made my line too big. What's...
So I'm on a 3.
3.
And a 2, yeah. But the lighter the possible, the lighter the best, really.
Right. That seems to be a bit too small.
I mean, it does soon build up.
Okay. Like this?
Yeah, everywhere. The more random, the better. And then what I'm going to do once that's done is I'm going to duplicate that whole layer.
Wait.
Scribble
Gotta
quick.
get my scribbles!
Scribble quicker.
Damn, this is fun.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Is that enough scribbles?
Yeah, and you can always go back a bit later, or as long as there's no like obvious pattern that you've gone over.
Nope.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
So then all I've done then is just duplicated that layer.
And we duplicate it in here, and we go duplicate.
Yep, and then select the layer you've just duplicated. Go to the HSL,
HSL.
and then bring it all the way down to -100 lightness.
Mm-hmm.
Then the move tool,
Mm-hmm. Oh, you offset it slightly.
ever so slightly,
Whoop.
like 2 or 3 pixels, and that should just be enough to give it a bit of a depth.
Should it be underneath or above?
I've just put mine back underneath.
So that's yeah.
And I'm just moving it around.
Wondering if it shouldn't be black on mine.
Oh, so for yours, because then what you can do is go in and change the blend mode to something that looks more.
What are we looking for? Are you in the black or the white one? Black.
So yeah, I went to the black one.
Okay, yeah, changed it. Maybe color,
Or like,
screen,
and this is, I never know which. I just go through all of them. Maybe overlay.
I overlay, not do it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's gonna sort of blend
right?
it with the color as well.
It looks like scarred skin.
Well, isn't that what leather is?
I guess so.
I mean, so with that one, maybe.
It literally looks like human skin.
Yeah.
I might change the undercolor.
Yeah, yeah. This is why it's best to do it on layers.
Okay. I'm going to change the undercolor of that to something that's a bit darker.
But actually, now you mention it, because I've got a tan leather at the top as well. So that's a similar sort of. Yeah. Oops.
I feel like that's better. And I'll change you to the same thing. Cool. All right. I'm back on
Okay.
track now. Oh, I just need to offset it now.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom in so I can actually see what I'm doing. Cool.
Okay. So then actually is quite a messy way of doing it, because you can see in the wood texture now,
Yeah.
it's all over the place. So we do have to go back through and erase where we don't want it.
Have you put them together now?
No, I'm going to go through and, I mean, I could, but because I've got one on an overlay, in fact, it doesn't matter for me.
Which one have you put on overlay though?
Oh, it does matter for me.
So have you put them together or?
I've kept them separate for now, and I'm just going to erase both layers.
Okay.
Because I've got one on overlay and one not overlay, so if you combine the two, it'll
It
will lose
you
its...
got the dark one on overlay?
Yeah, the dark one is on overlay.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference? No. Oh yeah, it does. Cool.
Cool. And then just same thing with the white?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just so it's not in the way.
Still doesn't quite look like leather yet. Assuming there's another step. I'm hoping there's another step.
So when we add the shadows and
Oh, okay,
highlights,
yeah, that'll do it.
this texture is going to get lost in the shadows, and it's going to soften it all off and make it look fluffier and better.
Exactly what we want.
He says.
He says.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Cool. So I think that's all the textures that we need.
So we've done our colours, we've done our textures. What now?
Shadows and highlights. So what I like to do first is start off with the shadows, and that's going to give us all the darkest areas, and then we pull that back with the lights afterwards to give it some more depth. So
New layer?
yeah, you guessed it, new layer.
Whereabouts?
So because I want to start doing some shadows on the ear cups, I've put it one above the ear cup one, and then the wooden layer is going to hide all that as well.
Oh, right, got you. Okay, so
we're going to start hiding bits that we don't see. It's just sort of save us erasing it.
Mhm.
So to do large areas of shadow,
Mm-hmm.
I like to use the airbrush tapered.
Airbrush tapered.
That's quite a large setting at the
Yep.
moment. I'm going to have it sort of maybe about 35-ish. And this is where you can start to use the full black.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. So actually, I think I'll end up doing the shadows layers as separate layers as well. because we've got shadows going behind each other and stuff, and then we'll merge them all at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to start off, and just to say I'm on an opacity of about 20-ish.
Okay.
And that's just going to let me bring in...
Ah, yeah, lovely.
And you'll notice as we start to add the shadows that the white of the brush the pencil brush that we just used gets too overbearing.
So the shadows at the moment is under the texture layer.
Yes, but what I'm going to change after, if this works... No, it's not. I thought that I could change the highlight to a glow layer,
Okay.
but it doesn't really work. So what I'm going to do is put those shadows
Over top?
above, yeah, and we're going to lose the highlights, which, yeah, because that's exactly what we want. We want to lose the highlights in the shadows.
So you put your shadow all the way over most of the colour things now?
Yes, which does mean that we'll have to go through and erase it, but that's fine.
Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, there we go. That's
So what I'm doing as well is I'm bearing in mind where a potential light source is coming from, and it's going to hit the ear cups from sort of this direction. This direction is going to be light along here. This is where our shadow is going to be in the core, but we're going to get some bounce back light from the ground. So I like to leave a little bit of a... It's not quite coloured in there. And that bounce back light's going to make it look a bit shinier and a bit softer.
What are the rules about lighting? Any particular rules you follow, or you just do what looks right?
Yeah. Lighting is difficult. You start getting fancy with lighting and get difficult very quickly.
Yeah.
I normally light things in a really similar way.
Yeah.
And once I know that lighting, then everything else sort of follows suit. But it's like little tricks, like knowing this edge is going to be lighter. That's going to really that's going to be the difference between a nice sketch and a sketch that pops. So I'm going to carry on again. So I've got this section of shadow now. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go on to a new layer.
What do you think?
Yeah, like that's, so we've got, I can see here that this area's in light, this area's your shadow. Oh, Siri's not available. I don't want Siri. And then underneath here, we've got the bounce back shadow, so that's perfect, yeah.
And it's still recording.
Oh, now we're cooking. Cool. So yeah, I'm happy with that shadow layer. I'm going to add in a new layer because I'm going to start to add stuff over the top as well.
Another shadow layer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this time I'm going to go in and...
That's where the 3D really starts to come in.
yeah, this is, as soon as you start adding shadows, that's
I like
going
this part.
Yeah. That's going to get darker in there.
Quite dark,
Yeah, this is all inside, right inside the cup is almost going to be black. What I might even
It would
do...
catch a little bit of light on that sort of outer, but yeah, most all of it inside would be pretty dark.
I'm going to go in and sharpen this up a little bit, actually. I've just swapped
When you say sharpen?
I've just swapped to our
Okay, yeah.
the outlining
But
brush.
you've turned the opacity down?
Turn the opacity down, yeah, and I'm just going to come in and sharpen this up. Sharpen the edge up.
Oh, nice. You could also, do you start like doing the pulls of the leather, or not yet?
The what, sorry?
You know, like this would have.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, that comes later.
Okay, I won't do that yet. I'm getting carried away.
All in good time.
No, I want it now.
Cool.
Oh, you've made it very dark.
I've gone really
Okay.
dark in there, which this is going to depend on how you want it lit.
I want it dark.
I want quite a nice
It
contrast
does, yes.
in there.
Contrast is great. It's good to have good contrast.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's pretty good contrast.
Cool. And then I think,
Back to your...
and this is where I just start to push and pull. I think that looks a bit better.
Nice.
Cool. Right. So that's 2 layers of shadows that we're happy with. Are you happy with yours?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Okay, now I...
Cool. So what we can do is we can merge those down because they're sorted, and then you can see straight away the difference if you turn them on and off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then we're going to go through to the left cup, which where are we? There. We're going to do the same sort of principles, but there's a lot less to see here. So
Yep.
this should be
So, new layer.
new
but-
layer. Going to bring down the pen tool.
Oh, I haven't done that. I have not erased the parts where I don't want it to.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Alright. Yep.
Cool. So new layer. I brought down the brush a little bit more, so I'm on something like 20.
Size
Yeah, something like a size 20.
and opacity.
Same as before. Haven't changed.
Okay.
Cool. Because all I'm going to do is color in again the section that I think will be in shadow, which will leave a little bit at the bottom because that's where we're going to get the bounce back. And that's that done. Easy. Just erase that. And merge it down.
What I don't like about this, and I'm going to change it, is that it goes too big with heavy pressure. Yeah, that's bad. So that gets weird to control. Okay, yep.
Cool. What next? I don't know. We'll move on to some wooden shadows.
Your white lines on the thing seem to be quite a bit less.
Let's have a look.
That's alright.
Yeah?
Alright, what's next?
Cool. So I was thinking to do some...
Oh.
Oh no. Was that half an hour? Yeah, it must have been.
I don't think it was for that long.
We've been going for 43 minutes.
Okay.
Cool.
That's right. As long as we have the audio and the screen recording going the whole time.
Yep.
Should
Cool.
be sweet.
Right. So, yeah, let's do some wooden shadows.
Wooden shadows.
So on top of the base layer and the texture layer, right under the layer,
Yep.
and same brush again, the airbrush tapered,
Yep.
and
Black?
yeah. So what I'll do is I'll do it in black, but what we can do afterwards is change the blend mode again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So thinking about where the light's coming from, it's going to come here and hit this area. That's going to be the highlight,
Yeah.
which means that this area will probably be in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
This area even more so because it's being covered by the pole. And then this back area is the bounce back light.
Right. Gotcha.
Cool.
Let's get cracking.
So let's have a look here.
What size are you?
So I'm looking at about 40.
Okay. It's very small.
might be a bit. Yeah, get in there.
Where did that come from?
Something popped up.
Well, it's got a weird line, and I'm not sure which layer it's on.
Ah, yeah, that's always the way.
Oh, I bet you it's not. Yeah, there it is. It's from the scribbles. Well, it might be best to like contain the scribbles.
I've got some leather texture showing up in the middle. That's fine. Erase that.
Okay, back on track. So you've made it quite dark in there. Okay, that looks very blotchy. What have I done wrong and you've done right?
Mine's, if you look at the layer as well, it's still quite blotchy, but I've started to follow. I started to follow the contour of the shadow, which means it's going to be like this motion,
Ah, gotcha.
and that should help to take out some.
Okay, redo that. Okay, so how do you do the color change thing to it?
So I was just going through just now and trying to find what blend mode it should be, but actually I think it should just be just the normal blend mode, for mine at least.
Did you change the color of it or no?
Nope. It's still just going through as black. What I might do, because it's not ideal with a shadow being black, should be the color of the thing.
You can't really play with it with the hue and saturation.
Yeah, because it hasn't got any.
It's black. Yes, you made it color brown. Multiply, linear brown, lighten, screen, color dodge, overlay. Nope, that don't look right.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing seems to work very well. And multiply, that's better. Okay, so you've erased it from.
Yeah. Then I've gone through and I've erased it from this flat face,
Cool.
and I've also added in a small little shadow underneath the bar,
Alright,
the head bar. So some of the edges of your shadows are quite hard.
right. So how do you soften them?
So with this in particular, maybe the shadow comes slightly too high up around the edge here.
Okay.
So I just come in with quite a large brush and I just pull back
Oh,
slightly
I see.
like this, but following again the contour of the shape.
Like that. Or even do the flow right down.
Yeah, so it's just something like,
Right down the opacity downward.
yeah, so my flow is on like 4 or 5.
Ah, right, that's fine.
How's that looking?
Yeah. So you could even fade that more. So back on this layer, if you got quite a big brush, I'm really gently feathered it in.
That's with your opacity. Quite a big brush.
Yeah. Because what I'm looking at here is the difference between the light. It sort of goes like this.
Yeah.
And it gets gradually darker. Cool.
And are you bringing it around here?
So yeah, I'm going to go through and give it a little bit. Just a bit through that. Maybe it's a bit much. So I thought that was a bit much, so I've just taken that back a little bit with the soft eraser tool. Cool. And there's going to be a bit of shadow behind this top bar. Cool. Okay.
A little bit pedantic about it, but yeah. Okay, well, it's not quite right, but it's close
Let's
enough.
have a look. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty similar. I still think that the difference between the highlight here, it gets quite sharp in the shadow
Too
here.
sharp.
But on this side, out here, it's good. It's just here, it gets a little sharp. We can fix that later when we add the highlights on top,
Right.
and it will
I
start
can
to
do it
soften
like
it
that.
off.
By just running a slide like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good.
I guess it's just practice.
Yeah.
Gotta sit down to at the end of the day. Like so many things.
Cool.
Okay.
So that's the shadow for the ear cup done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave this face flat because it is flat.
Yeah.
It should have a little bit of a shadow to it because it's slightly underneath.
Yeah.
But I kind of like how it's picking up some light there.
Yeah.
So next we're going to go to the leather
Yep.
at the top. And do exactly the same thing. Just try and imagine that underneath it's going to be darker, light is going to be on top.
Yeah. And we're putting that
And work around, yeah.
Yeah.
So
over the leather layer.
yeah, so I've made one over top of the leather layer.
Okay.
And again with the same
Same deal.
brush. This is where I can start to use overlay, I think.
Overlay.
Actually, it's still not looking quite right with overlay.
It's quite frustrating having to erase the shadow from your white.
From the... Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is there a way around that or not?
I tend to sketch maybe with a slightly smaller brush.
Okay.
So there will be some black to erase around here, but maybe you don't quite see it as much. So yeah, if... Not quite as much.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just finishing up adding some more shadows. So what I've done is I've had a layer of overlay to give it a general shape, slightly darker. So I started doing shadows,
Yeah.
but then I changed that to overlay. Now what that did was just made it slightly darker in form, but then I went over the top of that with a shadow layer that was black.
Right.
But maybe that's a bit dark.
Cool.
Okay. So that's the shadows for the top bit. The only thing left is the band, and then we'll add the highlights. And then.
All right. So
Gonna be done.
I wouldn't have done when you said leather only.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
I need to do the whole
My
thing.
bit's leather.
Okay.
Okay, so I've just got.
We're back at it.
Here we go.
So we've done the wood, we've done the leather. Now we've just got the metal wire.
Yep. So for the pole, because we've done an ellipse tool already, that means that when we do the highlights and shadows, it should just be one pass with an ellipse tool,
Oh, okay.
if we can line it up properly. So we're going to bring it in here. And just try and match up roughly where your ellipse was before. I cheated with my guides, so I can't use my guides as a
Yeah, me too.
reference point anymore. Oops.
That would be useful.
Yeah.
And that camera is out of battery.
Bye.
Out of batteries.
I'll just need to keep check that this is recording. But it
Okay,
seems to
I've
be
roughly
fine
got
now.
mine.
Cool. Yeah. So mine is just on the inside. Maybe a bit bigger actually.
Yep.
Cool, just on the inside. And I'm going to use a different brush this time. I'm going to use the medium tip marker.
It's not quite right.
I mean, mine's... So if you look at mine, it's not quite right
It
either.
doesn't have to be quite
but
right.
it's going to give the idea, give the impression.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to use the medium tip marker.
Yeah.
And all the settings are here.
I think your opacity is way different from mine. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
Play with head, pressure is quite high. Okay, sweet, yeah.
Cool. And then gonna go down to a black color here.
Black.
Yeah, this is where we can start to. So because we've used
Yeah,
opacity quite low, that means that we can use a black and just bring up the layers. Does that make sense?
Wait, we've used opacity low.
Yeah. So on here we've got quite a low
Right.
opacity.
Yeah.
And on here as well.
Yeah.
So I've gone for the black, and what I can do is, with a light pressure, go along and use a couple of passes. Oh, I just closed my lips. Brush size.
Can't really see how that works.
Yeah. So, sorry, I've just changed my brush size to slightly bigger. I'm on something like a 10, 9 or 10.
Oh, that's why it's not working. It's because I put it underneath the colour.
Ah. Cool.
Your brush size is 9 or 10.
Yeah, I just made it a little bit bigger because that's going to be the only shadow of the pole. And then without moving my canvas, because I've got the shadows done, I'm going to do new layer, ellipse tool again.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So without moving canvas,
Uh-huh.
new layer,
Yep.
ellipse tool.
Ellipse tool, make it slightly bigger. So it's still within the pole, but
Yeah.
on the outer side. And then swap it over for white.
Smaller brush.
Something like a 10 still.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, nice. Yeah, that was good.
or maybe. Oh, I've gone down to a 6.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, oops. And if you go over very lightly, the brush does it lightly. So it's nice to pick and choose where you want the highlight to be.
Oh, right, okay.
So
I have not done that.
So here I've got it quite highlight here, maybe less so here, and a bit at the back as well. And then that becomes the first highlight as well. Yeah, it's looking good.
Maybe a bit more on that side.
I mean,
Continue.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
so
nice.
it's either way.
Like,
But
I'm going to continue that upper wee because this all shows that it's that one piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. And then I just got to do a little bit down there. So where's that? Oh, I didn't do the shadow down there.
Oh yeah, I forgot down there as well. Just added that in.
Should I probably put that by hand, to tell you the truth? Good.
Cool.
Just gonna add a wee bit more shadow down there. Okay.
Okay, so we've got the shadows all down. Now we've got the highlight first layer. So we'll just go through the different materials and start adding in the highlights.
Oh wait, I just realised something.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh yeah. Oops. That's why it's handy to do it on all different layers.
Yeah, that's true.
That one. Cool.
Cool.
Okay, so maybe starting off with the leather.
Mm-hmm.
So new layer above our shadows.
Leather shadows. Yeah.
And then going back to the airbrush tapered.
Yep.
And then,
Are you still recording? Just check.
yeah, it's just still going. And that one's going. We're good to go.
Okay.
So we're on the airbrush tapered. We've got something like maybe a 30 brush.
Yep.
And we're going to come in.
Right, gotcha.
Following along.
What opacity are you at?
Oh, I'm at something like 28. But I'm also using quite a light pressure as well.
What brush size?
30? 32?
Okay, so
And the highlights, if I want to add more of a highlight in one specific area, I've just lowered the brush size.
oh, that's why it's doing this. It's because my size of light pressure is way down.
Ah, yeah.
I was wondering why. Oh, that's much better.
Fixed it.
Okay.
Cool, and then this is where we can start to do those leather pulls and ripples in the leather.
Okay.
So to do that,
Oh, have you rendered the other one as well?
oh no, not yet.
The other
But that's
one.
going to be
That's a separate.
That's going to be super quick, yeah. Push it on top, a little bit on the bottom. Done. Easy.
Okay.
So, maybe a new layer for the ripples. I'm going to come in.
Do you do dark ripples?
So, it's going to be a combination of both.
Right.
On one side, we're going to have dark, on one side, we're going to have light.
Which brush?
So,
Airbrush?
so still the airbrush.
You've...
I've brought it down to something like a 6 or a 5.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with 6. And
You're in black.
yeah, starting with black first. And this is where it can get quite random. But these are going to follow the contour of the earpiece, yeah.
Are you sure you're dealing with the airbrush?
I'm doing it. I've got an airbrush. And it's just going to build it up. Is there a different one you...
I feel like the pencil would do a better job, wouldn't it? Is that too much? Yeah, it's too much.
I mean, you can give it a go. Just about building up.
Just, this is not working.
This is something that... So they should be soft, really soft. And
that's
ease into
super
it.
soft.
And then when we start adding the white on top as
okay.
well, it's going to give it some
Gotcha.
meaning, yeah. That's too that a bit. Okay. So I'm going to hop over to some white.
Any rules here?
So it should fade in quite naturally, and it should follow the contour of the earpiece.
Yeah.
Each one should probably be a different size. They're all going to be different sizes, some close together, some far apart.
Yeah. a separate layer for the white.
Yeah, separate layer for the white.
Okay.
And just where this bounce back light is at the bottom, these are going to pick up quite a lot actually, so I'm going to colour in that quite a lot.
And you just know that from doing a little drawing?
Yeah, just from looking at reference material, doing a lot of drawing.
You're right, it does. And I guess it'd also be beside the shadows in a way? Like highlighting the creases that are made from the...
Yeah, so we can go in and use some here.
Oh, nice.
Cool. So what do you think?
Yep.
Cool.
It's working. Have you rendered the other? Do a similar thing to the other?
Yeah, so what we can do...
So we should jump back to the shadow.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, as random as possible with these, following the contour.
Yeah. Do you put highlight to split layers a bit?
In terms of...
Like for example here, it kind of gets lost, but if you put...
Yeah, so potentially, yeah. So later on...
You'll do that later
That's
on.
going to be... Oh, I can do it now. It's a good idea actually. Just to... Because again, it's going to have some bounce back off the other ear cup, so you're absolutely right. That's going to give it some more definition in there.
That's good.
Cool.
Good. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So next, it's going to be the highlight of the wood.
Yeah.
And then, because we said before, we've got the shadows coming from the top.
So we're putting a layer above the wood.
Yeah, layer above the wood.
And the shadows of the wood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, yep. So because we said before about the light source coming from above, we know that this top surface is going to have quite a lot of light. So raise up the airbrush quite a lot.
So you make the airbrush bigger.
Yeah.
What's your opacity at?
Something like 30.
Okay.
And then this is where you're deciding how glossy you want the wood to be as well.
Yeah.
Because the lighter you go,
Glossier.
the glossier it's going to look. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
And then get some bounce back on here.
Groovy. And you erase anyway?
I
you
went
could
a little bit over there, so maybe
You
erase.
erase the parts that you don't. Because you're drawing like way off the edge.
Yeah, with the white, I I went everywhere with that just then. If I ever want to add in...
What do you do when you have to add in a background? What are you doing?
Yeah, don't. Well, sometimes I do, and I just have to go, same as erasing the shadows. I'll just go and erase
right.
the whites afterwards. I'm going to add...
Do we erase on here?
You can on yours, I'm going to leave mine as a white background.
Okay.
The next step after that is I'm going to go back to the medium tip marker. And on a new layer again with something like a size 5.
So which one?
The medium tip marker?
Yep.
Something like a size 5. Opacity 50.
Yep.
Or something like a size 3. Change my mind.
Okay.
I'm just going to give it a highlight.
Nice.
And also can bring back the ellipse tool.
Actually, I was going to say ellipse will probably be handy here.
Yeah. And just where the material break is. Add in a bit of a highlight in there as well.
Okay.
So just
just
to
good,
show
nice.
where because there'll be a radius on there,
Yeah.
just to pick up on that.
Nice like that. Oh, lovely. Like that. Yeah, this is when it really starts to.
Yeah, and it's these little details that take it from sketch that's fine to
Sketch starts really cooking.
yeah. And then up here.
Okay. I've done one here. That's probably because under the main lines and I haven't. Just need to pull it back a little bit. Just need to.
It's a race against the clock because I'm on 16%.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're fine. I'm sure it's going to last.
Yeah. So that just take us up into there.
Cool. So the only thing left to do for the highlights is the pieces at the top that we've made. So exactly the same as before. New layer on top of those layers.
Yep. Cool.
And I'm using the airbrush again.
Yep. Following the contours.
Yeah, and then actually
Like that.
cool.
And then same sort of principle with these edges and stuff.
Yeah, so maybe you'd want on your ellipse there to give it a highlight similar to this,
Yeah.
just to show that there's a radius.
That's what I was thinking.
That doesn't look right.
Yeah, I think
Does it?
that'd be something that I would do.
So it doesn't quite look.
So you could do. So you've got the line of the ellipse. You could do it to replace that line of the
There you
ellipse.
go. That's better.
Yeah. Cool.
Just had to catch the edge.
Yeah.
And probably a similar treatment there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, just on that flick on the way around. And then at this stage is when I'll go in and just start to fix up any extra bits of shadows that I didn't quite get the first time.
Right.
So that's going to have a shadowy area.
So what are you doing now?
So I was just going in and just adding in some slight shadows in miscellaneous places.
Are you on just a new above all? Above your sketch?
Actually, I was working on a different layer. I was working on a different layer.
Do you add your details above the sketch or not?
All of mine have been below the sketch so far.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's looking pretty good.
Okay. Might add some darker shadows in some places.
And then to finish this off,
Finish what off?
so to finish off the sketch, I've just added in this box at the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's a really squashed box that's going to give it perspective, and that's just going to make it look as if the headphones are floating. I do that quite a lot.
Alright. What I do is I squish a shadow and put it in there.
Yeah,
Same thing, I think. Just
different styles, I guess. I normally do a square. I know I should probably do like follow the shape of the thing more, but yeah.
squish that. No, that's not squish. This one. This is how I used to do it anyway.
And then now that I've got the shadow down, I'm going to go in with a perfect white and a paint tapered and put in some dots. It's going to make it look shiny.
Shiny. Like it. Do you watch Disney?
Not for a long time. I wish I did.
Do you watch G.A. Ghibli?
No.
Ugh.
Sorry.
You're killing me here. Okay, so now above everything, you put in your
Yeah,
dots.
this is above absolutely
So
everything.
above every single layer, we put the dots.
Yeah.
And what tool are you using?
I'm using a paint tapered at about a 5.5.
Right. And full opacity.
Yeah.
Cool. And
you just put dots wherever you...
Yeah, so wherever it's really going to pick up the light, I'm going to put dots.
Interesting.
So I've been told off for doing it, but I kind of like it. It looks really cartoony.
Yeah,
People online get quite angry. They say, "Why have you put the dots? And it looks so distracting." But I think it makes it look like, I don't know, yeah, shiny. I don't know. Maybe they're a bit much, but I think it's just a bit of fun. So yeah, let's have some fun.
We have finished, and these are the results. This is Sam's one. Very, very nice. Mind you, you've had a bit longer to practice. No? I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Everything seems to be in proportion. Nothing is standing out too much.
Definitely not.
Any critiques? What are we doing?
Critiques, let me see. I don't know, because like we said, I've gone for more of a over-ear cup. You've gone for more of a smaller cup, which is fine, so the proportions are different, but that's absolutely fine. The only issue that we highlighted before was it was a bit patchy in here with the shadow.
Yeah.
But we've polished that out quite nicely. Potentially could go a little bit more, but that's fine. Do you know what? I even think I like your the ripples of your leather more than I like mine. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's I
think we did good.
Good job.
Okay, if you guys watched this video right through to its entirety, congratulations, good on you. Wow. So, if you have drawn the headphones with using this video, Sam and I would love to see your work. You will find our Instagrams in the description below. Please @ us with your drawings and put them up on Instagram so we can see them. That would be so cool. Anyway, thank you for sticking with us for almost 3 hours, and all the best, and I really hope this helps. See you guys.